All right. I know many of you. It's good to see familiar faces. Thanks for coming today. Appreciate you taking time out of your day at the convention to visit my little talk here. I'm Paul Remde. My company is Cumulus Soaring. I started flying gliders in 1990, and I love soaring. I've owned shares in a Schweitzer 135C, a Ventus B over the years, and currently I have a 1/3 share in a DG 1000, and love flying that glider. We've had many amazing adventures in that. I'm a member of the Minnesota Soaring Club. We fly out of Stanton Airport in Minnesota. I'm a cross-country soaring pilot, a contest pilot. I've achieved a few state soaring records. Nothing very impressive, but I really enjoy flying for records. I love doing aerobatics, and I'm also a big fan of flying in two-seat sailplanes. I just love sharing the cross-country experience with another pilot, whether that's an experienced pilot that I'm learning from or a kid that I'm showing how much fun it is. My longest soaring flight so far is 806 kilometers, about 501 miles in the Nephi, Utah area. And then I don't have it on here, but about 2 years ago, I did a big downwind dash with Dan Zimmerman and flew from Stanton down to central Missouri, which was, I think, about 680 kilometers. So that was one of my favorite flights. I have a few websites. I have the Soaring News Facebook page, which I use just to post information. I try to keep it not just about products, but about soaring in general around the world. So whenever I see an interesting post on Facebook about some soaring event or some record set or some amazing flight that was done, I post that on my Soaring News Facebook page. I do every now and then post what's new with soaring instruments. If there's a new product that just came out or a new update that's available for FLARM, I post that on my Soaring News page as well. I'm also an avid photographer. I love taking photographs. So I love sharing soaring photographs on my Soaring News page. So check it out. It's great just for the photographs alone, I think. Not necessarily mine, but people from all around the world. I run Cumulus Soaring Inc. Been doing that for 20 years now, I think. I also have a Patreon page where you can get access to my soaring product training videos. Patreon is a site where you sign up for a small fee. It's $9.95 a month, and you get access to all my videos. You also get small discounts on products and other benefits. I do consider myself a servant. I work hard to help glider pilots get the most from their soaring products. Thank you. Many of you have purchased items from my company, and I really appreciate your business. Thank you very much. Many of you also supported my company and myself over the years through the purchase of support memberships or through the Patreon site. And I can't tell you how much I really appreciate that. You've really helped me through some tougher times years ago, and I'm doing really well now, and I still appreciate your support. So thank you very much. I look forward to serving the soaring community for many years to come. Okay, so let's get into some of the products. The CU subscription, over the years, how you get access to CU software has changed over the years. The CU subscription is the way they do it now, and that gives you, it's $59 a year. I'll get that in the next slide, I think. But it gets you access to multiple products. The CU Cloud, where you can view flights in 3D. That's the top left image there, or top right image there. Viewing your own flights in 3D. You can also plan tasks with weather information. What I do, I use it to set up a whole batch of tasks out of my glider port or wherever glider port I'm going to, and then those are all synced up with my LX9000 or with my Oudie automatically, so that I just pull up the waypoint file without even it's connected over Wi-Fi, so I don't even have to save files to a memory card or anything. Oh, by the way, if anybody has any questions during the presentation, feel free to ask. Raise your hand or shout them out, it's fine. So anyway, the CU Cloud is kind of the newest way to do the task editing and flight review. They still have CU for PC, that's still available, and does some of the things that the CU Cloud can't do yet. But I use the CU Cloud most of the time and use the CU for PC every now and then when I want to merge waypoint files or when I'm doing barograph calibration and I want to have, the CU PC does that better for me. CU Navigator is the in-flight software for Oudie N, iPhone, and Android, and that's included in the CU subscription. When you buy an Oudie N, you don't have to separately buy a CU subscription. Buying an ODN gets you a 1-year subscription to the CU cloud, but even when that expires in a year, you still get free access to the latest versions of CU Navigator on your Oudie. If you have an iPhone, then you have to have a current CU subscription, an iPhone or an Android phone, you have to have a current CU subscription to get all the features of CU Navigator. I'd have to say that I'm extremely impressed with the CU Navigator software. They have really worked hard on this software. People that have used Oudies in the past, this is different software than was used. The old Oudies, Oudie 1 and Oudie 2, used CU mobile software. And they still support that. I still support that. I still have parts in stock. If you have an old Oudie that needs a new battery or a screen or a case, I can repair those, and I still do that a lot. The new software, the CU Navigator, I find more intuitive. It's really easy to change a layer to add and it connects over Wi-Fi to the internet so you can get weather maps. It's very easy to select which weather map is displayed and to change the terrain maps, things like that. It's a very impressive software. It's not quite yet to the same level as what CU Mobile was. There's a few things it doesn't quite do yet, but I'd say it's 98% of the way there. And I use it myself when I fly, so I do highly recommend it. So the CU subscription is $59 a year, and you get $10 off if you use my code, Cumulus. And that also, I get a commission when you use my code, and not just when you purchase it, but every year when it automatically renews, I get a small commission. So please use the coupon code if you can. If you already have an active CU subscription, like I'm sure many of you already do, if you ordered it directly through their website, so without my coupon, they said it's fine if you want to. If you want me to get a commission every year it renews. I'm not trying to push that on you. I'm just saying if you wanted that, you could email them and ask them to say, hey, Paul's the guy that supports me with CU. Can you please change my account so he's getting a commission on that? Not a big deal, just a thought. And then you do get 1-year extension of the CU subscription when you purchase a Naviter Oudie N or an Oudie N IGC, or when you buy a Naviter Bluetooth dongle to connect to the Oudie N. Then it just adds another year on with every purchase. So if you buy 3 dongles, you're going to get 3 years. You won't have to pay a long time. Naviter Oudie N, this is, I think, one of the most exciting products in my booth right now. It uses the CU Navigator software, but you can use the same CU Navigator software on your iPhone or your Android phone to try it out. But my experience is that an iPhone does not work well in the cockpit. It dims down almost immediately, so I can't read it at all. And it will get hot, especially if I have it connected to a charger. It will get hot and it will shut down. And I've had that happen to me in flight with my iPhone before the Oudie N came out. And so because of that, I highly recommend the Oudie N for your flying. Try CU Navigator on your iPhone or your Android phone. It's the exact same software, but then buy an Oudie N because it's super bright. It's 1,000 nits. It has a huge battery, so you don't need to connect it to a charger, so it doesn't get quite as hot. It runs for like 15 hours. In one of their videos, they have a great thing. They say, when they introduced the product, the video said, fly all day with your Oudie N, then connect your iPhone to charge up your iPhone. And your Oudie will charge your iPhone for you. It does work. It's not just hype. But it has a huge battery. And it doesn't overheat. It doesn't dim down. It's just super bright all the time. It's very high resolution. It's very fast, huge battery. If you're connected to a FLARM, it will display FLARM traffic. If you're connected to the internet, it will display OGN traffic. You can connect to the internet by using your iPhone as a Wi-Fi hotspot or your Android phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. I've had mixed results with trying to connect to the internet while I'm flying. In some regions of the country where there are mountain peaks with cell towers, sometimes you can get a cell connection or a data connection while you're flying. In Minnesota, I don't have that experience. I don't have good luck getting an internet connection. The other way you could connect the Oudie N to the internet would be, you can buy a SIM card for it and connect through your wireless company. So that way, instead of connecting through my iPhone, the Oudie N itself is acting like a data, like an iPhone with just a data connection. No cell, you can't talk through it like a phone, but you can get data connection. I think it's about $20 a month with most cell phone companies in the US. And I've had a few customers that have done that. I haven't done that myself yet, but that makes it a little simpler with their glider port. You don't have to connect through your phone. Let's see. You have weather maps. If you have a SkySight or a Top Meteo subscription, you can see those weather maps on the Oudie N. It's really slick. It's extremely easy to change which weather map you're looking at. Both versions of the Oudie N, there's two versions, the Oudie N IGC and the Oudie N that's not IGC approved. Both of them work great with Condor 2. And you do need a Bluetooth dongle to do that connection, because the Bluetooth dongle is both a Bluetooth connection and also a USB to serial converter to get the data into Condor as a serial data stream. But that works really well. It's $1,090 for the Oudie N and $1,340 for the Oudie N IGC, which is the fully IGC approved logger version. Most people are buying the IGC version just because it's only $250 more, and I think the resale will be better because most people want that functionality, but I do stock both versions. I also offer a BoxWave anti-glare screen protector. The screen on the Oudie N is pretty glassy. I like that because it's sharp when I look at it, and I don't use a screen protector on mine. I think I put one on just to try it out, and I thought it worked fine, but it's a matte finish. Some people, though, really don't like a glassy screen in the cockpit, so that's an option. 21 bucks. It comes with 2 of them in the box. I also sell, the Oudie N comes with a very nice universal cradle and a ram arm and a suction cup mount. And then also there's an optional flat on panel mount cradle that's 60 bucks. LXNAV Hawk is probably the most exciting product this year. The software uses accelerometers and GPS for fast vario and which ignores horizontal gusts. It has fast wind data for optimized flight and convergence and wave, and it has artificial horizon included. There's no extra charge for that, it's included. The Hawk is not a vario product. It's not a physical thing that you buy like a vario. It does vario functionality, but it's software. It's a software feature you buy if you have a compatible unit, and we'll get that in the next screen. But Hawk's blue vario pointer is fast. You can see it on the screen here. This is the Hawk vario pointer. That's the new feature. This is your old standard vario red pointer, which is total energy compensated vario. I like having them both displayed because I've been flying with one of these for 30 years and I know what to expect from it. This one, you can compare the two and see which one is better in which situation. This is a wind screen. I don't usually use that when I'm flying in Minnesota. I just use the regular numeric screen. But that is if you're flying in a situation where you really want to know what the winds are doing on an instantaneous basis, you can press the center button to get to that screen, the wind screen on any vario. I'm extremely impressed with it. I've only flown with it in flatlands. I haven't flown with it in convergence or in wave, but it does an incredibly good job, in my opinion, at ignoring fake thermals caused by gusts. How many times has this happened to you? You're cruising along, you feel a bump, the red total energy vario pointer goes up, beep, 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 beep. You think there's a thermal here, so you dive into a thermal, you pull up, you do a steep bank, and not even a quarter turn in, you realize you feel a sinking feeling, or you never really felt the bump, you just felt something, but you realize it's not a thermal, it's a gust. You got a gust, a horizontal gust. You stop circle, okay, so it's not a thermal, it's a gust. With Hawk, the blue Hawk vario pointer remains flat. It doesn't go beep, 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 it just sits there and says, no, this is not a thermal. So Hawk knows it's a gust because it's using accelerometers to measure the wind in all 3 axes, up, down, left, right. So the idea is that you never again waste time stopping to try a thermal that was really just a bump from a gust. It'll greatly increase your cross-country speed, so it's worth every penny of the price. It is expensive, and we'll get to that next. You'll know exactly what the wind is doing in real time. So if you're in convergence, the blue arrow there will be moving rapidly, making changes multiple times a second to show you what the wind is actually doing outside, using the accelerometers and GPS together to calculate that. It is incredibly cool software, and it works incredibly well. It is new. I wouldn't say that I think it's perfect. I wouldn't say that it's always showing exactly what I expect it to show, but I would say that I love it, and I will always fly with it from now on, and many people in the room agree with me. So quite a few people flew with it at the seniors down in Florida last year and came back and told all their friends about it, and then all their friends bought Hawk, or even bought a new vario so they could use Hawk in their glider, or traded in their old LX9000 for a new 9000 so they could have Hawk in the glider. And I guess some of the feedback I received was that it really did help eliminating those false thermal stops, things like that. that was the main feedback I guess I got. Oh, the other thing I should say is I really feel that it matches the feeling in the seat of my pants. As I'm moving along and I feel a lift in the seat of my pants, I look and the blue pointer is going up almost instantly. It's much faster than the red pointer. Okay, so in conclusion on Hawk here, Hawk has software option. It works in any S10 or S100 Vario that has ever been made. It only works in newer LX8000 and LX9000 systems. They have to be Gen 4 or Gen 5, which are the latest ones in the last couple of years, which is a bummer because people that bought an LX9000 5 years ago, it's expensive to get it upgraded. What most people are doing, myself included, is selling our old 9000 on the used market and putting that $2,000 or $2,500 or so towards the new system. Then you get a whole new system, sell the old system as a complete system, you get the whole new system. I wish there was a better way to do it because it's expensive, and then there's the cost for the software, which is $1,190. That goes to pay for the development fees. The developer, Heinrich Meyer, who's here, is going to talk next. And it's paying him, it's paying LXNAV's team that had to integrate this into their Varios. It was a lot of work. The other thing I want to mention before I forget is that I have created, I think, 5 or 6 different training videos related to Hawk. I did a webinar with Heinrich Meyer last, I think, February, and another one in, I think, October or November, where we talked through a lot of the features of Hawk and what to do, what not to do with Hawk. Those are available for free. I've got some other training videos that show you all the screens to go to set up your S10 or S100, and all the screens to go to set up your LX9000 or LX8000, and those are also on my Patreon site. The LXNAV Air Data Indicator is a relatively new product, came out a year or two ago. This has been a popular option. It is not at all FAA approved or EASA approved, and it will not be, I don't think, in the future, but it is an altimeter and an airspeed indicator. It's been popular for people that have an experimental glider and want to reduce the number of instrument holes used so you can, in one instrument hole, you get an altimeter and an airspeed indicator. It's set up using the buttons on the front. You go in and specify the ranges where the colored arcs will be. You can also, one major thing that it does is it'll flash at you warnings if you're getting near VNE, or if you're getting near stall, or if you're getting near whatever altitude you set, like 18,000 feet. And you can set different VNEs for different altitudes as well. So if you've got a glider flight manual that says the VNA is this at one altitude and this at another altitude, you can enter those into the unit. It's very easy to set up. It's very bright. There's 2 sizes, small and large. And some people have even put this in a standard airworthiness glider just as an additional instrument because they like the warnings, they like the brightness, they like how easy it is to read. You can pick what's displayed in this number box and this number box. This is usually, I think, a Vario kind of a thing. But there's quite a few things you can pick from. You can put volts, voltmeter. You can have indicated airspeed if you want to see a numeric speed. You can do true airspeed. It does come with a temperature probe, so it's using that for the airspeed calculations. Moving along, the LXNAV Traffic View is a great traffic display. This one came out about two years ago, I think. It's available in both a small version in 57 millimeter or the large 80 millimeter version. It does have a very intuitive and attention-getting way that it displays traffic warnings, as you can see on the top right there. I like that a lot. I had an incident years ago, about 3 years ago, where I was at a contest and a glider was coming at me from the other way, and he was down low, so I couldn't see him well below the nose of my DG1000. And the traffic display I was using was beeping, but not really giving me a lot of information about where to look, or it wasn't intuitive to me. I would have loved to have had one of these at that point in time. I do highly recommend it. In the future, they will have a rectangular version of this doesn't require panel mounting. That'll be a little bit larger than their current FLARM View product. It also can be used, it's kind of good for a club too, because it can display airspace and you can do simple task navigation. LXNAV about 2 years ago came out with LX8030 and 8040 to replace the LX8000 and LX8080, which had been on market for quite a while. I really like that they made the screen much larger, and yet it fits into an 80 millimeter instrument hole. So in the 8000 used to be a bit wider, so it was kind of hard to fit in some gliders. It didn't fit in a standard 80 millimeter space. The 8040 does fit in a standard 80 millimeter piece of real estate on your panel. Of course, it's a more custom cutout. The 8030 does fit in a standard 80 millimeter instrument hole. So they've been pretty popular products. The Air Force Academy bought 17 of these along with 17 backseat repeaters for their training gliders. But yeah, it is a great product. It has exact same functionality as an LX9000 series product, just with a smaller screen. Fully compatible with Hawk. Wi-Fi is built in and enabled in these. If you buy a 9000, you have to pay extra to get the Wi-Fi enabled. It's not a lot, it's 330 bucks, but it's included for free with this one. And you can buy a club version of this, which doesn't have some features enabled like the display of terrain maps. The club version doesn't have terrain maps and a few other things that you can buy software enables to enable that. So it's good for clubs. You want to buy the cheapest version and then enable it later. PowerFLARM Fusion came out a couple years ago. This has been an extremely popular option. A lot of people that own the PowerFLARM cores have been, and I did this too. I sold my PowerFLARM core in the used market for about $995 and then put that money towards a Fusion. And that allows somebody that doesn't want to pay $2,000 for a FLARM to have a lower cost, my used FLARM, which was good. And then I get the latest, greatest toy, which I always love to have in my glider. What's new about it is it has a completely new circuit boards, redesigned circuit board. It's only got one board in it instead of three. It's so far it's proving to be more robust, more reliable in the long run. I do repairs on PowerFLARM cores, and over time, for many reasons probably, the transmission receive range on PowerFLARM cores seems to go down over time. And it's repairable by replacing a main board, but it's a bummer that happens. It doesn't happen with all cores. When I took the PowerFLARM core out of our glider and tested it, it was working exactly as it had when it was new. So it's not with all PowerFLARM cores. But anyway, I'm optimistic that the Fusion will not have that issue. It has been proving so far to be very reliable, and it has, I think, much more transmit power, much more range. So I don't know if it's 2 times or 5 times, but something like that, the transmit power. So people will see you from further away. It also has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. The Wi-Fi would be used for setup. You can use your iPhone or your Android phone or a PC or a Mac that has Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to connect directly to the FLARM and enter all the parameters, enter the pilot name, the range settings, do firmware updates through your iPhone or through the PC. It's really slick. That's how I've been doing that. I don't need to bring a USB flash drive to the glider anymore. I use my phone to do the update, which is pretty slick. The Bluetooth would be used in flight to connect to a phone or an Oudie N, send flight data and FLARM data to them. It displays FLARM traffic, ADS-B 1090 traffic, Mode C and Mode S transponder traffic, and kind of a new feature is that it can display relayed ADS-B UAT traffic, which is called ADS-R, and it can display Mode C traffic that's relayed, and that's called TSB. So you can also do that in a PowerFLARM core. It's $170 to enable your PowerFLARM cores. It's a software enable to add ADS-R to the core, and that's been a popular option too. Of course, the relay traffic only works if you're near a ground station, and it may only work if you have ADS-B out. One big difference over the Fusion and the old core is that on the core there were many software enables you could buy. On this, everything is enabled right out of the box. So it's more expensive than the core was, but it comes with all the features enabled. The IGC, ENL, it comes with 2 FLARM antennas, and they both can transmit and receive, which is a major difference. The core could only receive on the FLARM B port. The Fusion can transmit and receive on the FLARM B port. The price is $1,850. It does come with, FLARM does not calibrate the logger, so if you want to use it for badge and record validation, I can calibrate it for you before I ship it for $75. This is what I talked about earlier. If you have a PowerFLARM core or a portable and you want to be able to do the ADS-R relayed traffic for ADS-B UAT, that is an option, a software option that I can set up for you. I just need to know the serial number of your FLARM unit. This is kind of a new idea. I've rewired my gliders, several gliders over the years, and how many gliders have you seen that have a mess of wires behind the panel? So I think we've all seen that many times, and many of our gliders are that way too. But the idea is to make a plug-and-play solution using Anderson power pole connectors. So these are little, a 12-volt bus, so you connect your battery or connect 12-volt power here, and then you take out from there for as many instruments as you have. It has individual components like the different cables. I have panel mountable switches, either regular toggle switches or locking toggle switches that you have to pull out to move, so you can't just bump them and switch off your instrument. It has battery switches, you know, battery A off, battery B, or just battery A, battery B. And everything is all Anderson power pole connectors, so there's no soldering required to wire everything up. Of course, it's more expensive than if you did it yourself, but it's both simpler and quicker and also easier to troubleshoot in the long run because it's just plugging things in. So, and it's very configurable. You could have it go from a battery to a panel-mounted Anderson power pole connector for plug your charger into here to charge your batteries, 1 or 2 batteries, then go to a terminal and then off to a fuse and a switch for the instrument. And anyway, it's very easy to pick the parts and do whatever you want to do with it. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And also voltmeter is an option. The Avionics ACD57 digital altimeter has been on the market for a couple years. This is becoming more and more popular. It's extremely smooth and sharp display of altitude. It's fully ETSO certified as a primary altimeter. It has EASA approval, and then there's a document saying that the FAA has reciprocity on that, so it's legal to use that in any aircraft in the US. It's a very sunlight readable display, intuitive and easy to use. So the altimeter version only is $1,004. You can also connect it to a radio. So I think a lot of people are using this, especially in new gliders from the factories, where you have it enabled both as an altimeter and talking to a radio. So it takes, instead of having to have a radio mounted in your panel and an altimeter mounted in your panel, you can have one instrument hole for both a radio and an altimeter. You can even have 3 functions. You can have radio and altimeter and transponder all in one unit. And I'm showing that in my booth. There's a unit doing that. So you can see how that works. All the buttons are functioning and everything. So a cool idea, very cool idea. And it's actually less expensive than a mechanical altimeter. And in my glider, I haven't done this yet, but my plan is to put one of these in the back seat of our DG1000 so I can control the Becker AR6201 radio that's in the front seat from the back seat. And also, because the altimeter is much, much more precise than the small winter altimeter I have, it'll be much easier to pass the tests when I get my transponder certified every 2 years. So, kind of a multi-benefit thing there. It does not come with a backup power source, but I do sell in that the SBS products on the previous screen. I have an 8 AA battery pack with an Anderson power pole connector, and that would power it for several hours. So then you just have a panel switch to switch between main power and backup power. Garmin InReach, many glider pilots fly with these because this allows your family to track you as you fly, or if you're at a contest, you can track all the pilots in the contest as they're flying around the course. There's a new unit called the InReach Messenger, which is shown on the top. You can see all these in my booth. I fly with the one on the bottom just because I like the map on there. I thought maybe the map would be nice in the very unlikely event I land out in a very remote area. That's why I went with that one, but I don't really feel strongly about that. They're all good products. They all use the same service. They all work great. I think I keep my large one attached to my parachute in a safe way. But I think if I had the 2 smaller ones, I might even just put those in my pocket. I think that might work just fine, as long as you feel like it's secure in there, not gonna fall out if you bail out. That way it wouldn't interfere if you're trying to bail out or get knocked off. This is a new product. David Lesnick and Hal Woodruff are creating this. And I have this in my booth. The idea is a portable tie-down system for your glider that you could tuck in the back while you go cross country, so you could use it if you land out remotely. I don't like that in the photo he's showing it over a moving surface. I wouldn't recommend that. They've been doing that with some of their gliders, I guess, but I don't recommend that. It's best if it's put on a non-moving surface for safety. It's just for temporary use. I wouldn't use this to tie down for an extended period of time. I mean, maybe for a soaring contest, but not for all summer long, because it's just not as good on the trailing edge of the wing as a better system. But the price is $295, and that includes, he customizes it for your glider. He can put, I think, up to 3 characters on it of your contest number. And you get to pick the color too. He's got several colors available for the letters and for it's a 3D printed product. If you were going to tie down for a long period of time, most people use a wing wheel. This is a new option from Soaring XX. It's basically the top part of a wing wheel without the wing wheel on it, so it's less expensive. But this is much more secure way of securing right over a control surface and grabbing on all the way around the wings very securely. But of course, you can't tuck that in the back of your glider while you go cross country. Soaring X canopy cover. This is kind of cool. I like this. Many of us use the metallic canopy covers from Franklin Fabrication. I sell them. I highly recommend them. They're a great product. But as you know, after about 2 years, they fade a lot, and they don't look new. They don't look good. They look kind of funky, and that's just the nature of the material. It's nothing. The manufacturer's not doing anything wrong. So what Tony is doing from Soaring XX is he's got a product that's made just with a white fabric that doesn't fade, doesn't look bad after 2 years. And so that's cool. The other thing that's cool about it is that you can close, in most gliders, not all, but in most gliders, you can lock the canopy with this on, which you can't do with the Franklin Fabrication canopy caps that I sell. So maybe not all gliders, but most you can. And he's got a little opening here where you could reach into the cockpit when you've got the canopy locked. So that's kind of cool too. And it does a great job of keeping the cockpit cool, even though it's not metallic looking. It's a little bit more expensive. It's $179 for a single seater. Canopy caps are $109. And it does have the same option of the sun shield at the back end of the canopy to keep reflections from coming in. That's an option. It's a free option actually on this product. Pure Plains wood sailplane model kits. I got to wrap up here pretty quick. So these are a nice inexpensive option. There's hundreds of different options for those. I've got one in my booth that you can see. New glass flugel book for $75. I don't have any here. The one that's in my booth has been sold already. But I highly recommend that booth if you have any interest in the history of glass flugel. It's a fascinating read. I love the book. The Wing and I by Jim Marski. I haven't read this one yet. That's on the top of my list. Interesting guy in his flying wings designs here in the US. Composite design manual is relatively newer. He's updated this a lot by the same author. And if I wanted one more time to mention the Patreon thing. If you sign up for Patreon, you get access to all my soaring product training videos. You get 1 or 2 hours of free support depending on which level you buy. You get a 2 or 4% discount depending on which level you buy. If you buy a full year in advance, you get a 10% discount. And also for small orders, usually I charge a $5 handling fee. If you order a $5 part, you pay $5 just for the handling. But I waive that for all Patreon supporters. So it's a good option. Any questions? Nothing? Wow. You guys are quiet. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming today. And stick around.